We're talking a little bit about, every once in a while something pops up in conversation. Look, I should probably have been more prepared physically and emotionally. I don't know how you prepare for this nightmare. I really don't. I definitely need to work out some more. Maybe get my papers in order because I was listening to Tom Hartman, and I'll tell you, he and Dino Badala were freaking me out talking. Because I guess it's better to start conceptualizing what it would be like if I was, hunted down,
right?
Because I'm a critic, and so for folks who follow me on Facebook, you already know I blasted somebody who slid into my DMs and said a lot of words I can't use on the air, but called me an effing wetback posting BS crap. Basically, and there's watch yourself before you get a notice to vacate, and I wonder, because I've got
who is this person? Just some rando?
A lot of people finding me now. Yeah. Kirk Banks was telling me yesterday.
Some rando from Kansas or something.
Yes, I'm getting things like I'm going to be removed from the planet. I got a STFU, you liberal whore. I'm getting a lot. I'm fine. I'm totally. I wake up every day to a new fun message. But on the other hand, because of the hatred, or in the same step, in the same path of getting, I guess, more exposure because people are looking for progressive talk show hosts or conversations. We gained 3,000 new followers since the election, and it grows by hundreds every single day. And I think people are looking for that, so it's popping up in their logarithms, I guess. Mm-hmm. But so this cracked me up, and I mentioned it on the show yesterday. This idea that Musk is spreading. First of all, that they're saving money, and we want to send you thousands of dollars. There's no proof that they've found the fraud and waste.
Right.
They're trying. Did you see one person quit because they wouldn't allow? They were refusing to allow Musk to have access to bank accounts.
Yeah.
And not just the city of New York. There was like a business owner who'd gotten a grant. It was in the environmental, green space area, and they were trying to access their bank account to retrieve the money that they had gotten.
Yeah. From that's straight up theft.
Well, but it's like, then where's the guardrails?
Yeah, what's going to stop them from doing that to me?
That's what I'm saying. That was the first moment I had hearing those conversations about twice today. One was in reference to the images you see in Handmaid's Tale. I don't think you watched.
No, I never watched it. Yeah.
There's an episode where all the women lose access to their bank accounts, their credit cards.
Yeah.
They can't. So I wanted to go on social media and ask my new hate followers, if I was rounded up. So this is the other conversation that Dino Badala and Tom had was, what Hitler did was round up the critics and have them, in camps, and then and some of them executed, or I don't know how many, but the critics were. He said 25,000, which I had not heard that number.
Yeah.
And so I wonder. So to my hate listeners, is that what you want for me? Mm-hmm. Is that? I hate saying it like that.
Yeah.
I just is that where we are already with this message I got about calling me a wetback and you'll get notice to vacate? It is that's what they want to round us up.
Yeah.
And
I've known a long time. A lot of these people just smile and wave as they round me onto the trains.
Right. So. Right. I know. I guess I'm so naive sometimes, Adam. Right. I'm calling me the C word or
you never lived in Georgia.
That's fair.
This is the thing. You never lived in the South and saw the greasy heart of it.
Yeah, that's true.
I saw working at Po Folks. And I can't believe there was a restaurant named Po Folks.
Wow.
Looking back.
Po Folks. Well, your parents live right down the road from where Marbury was killed.
You can see their mailbox in the video.
I can't remember. It was this
Ahmaud Arbery, in Brunswick, Georgia.
A black man who was running while black.
Yeah.
And
three hillbillies in a red pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
All of whom my dad had met, just at the hardware store and stuff. And they hadn't moved into the town yet. They had bought the house but hadn't moved in when it happened.
And the prosecutor was not going to do anything.
No, until there was enough of a public outcry, they were just going to say, oh, well.
Yeah, it's wild.
When three guys with a red pipickup truck mow you down, you're supposed to do what they say.
Yeah. Yes, I guess that's
everybody knows what a red pickup truck means down there.
Yeah, you and I had that. I look on your face when we were in Wisconsin. We were going door knocking. I'm like, let's go to someplace local. We'll never probably do that again.
Yeah,
yeah. I have this. I do have this love for Wisconsin. So I just had to. There's a lot of really good people doing hard work, and that was the state that had lost the least amount of ground.
Yeah.
And actually, comparison to Pennsylvania and North Carolina, places where we thought we had a better chance.
Yeah.
At any rate. So, folks, 773-763-9278. I asked this earlier in the week. On Monday, I asked, what are the two things that are topmost? Like, if you were told, don't react to if you could train yourself mentally, sort of put yourself in the space of not reacting to every single thing that happens, what would be the two things that you would pay attention to the most? I know everyone, I think the top one is Doge. Before, I think we would have been concerned about abortion, which we continue to. I mean, the maternal health rates, mortality rates, and the infant mortality rates have gone up in states where they don't have access. Obviously, in particular for poor women, for black women, for people who don't have the resources to take off of work or travel to another state. So what are your top line things? Is it healthcare? Do you have
right now the top line thing is watching Doge, watching what Elon is up to and what they're letting Elon get away with.
I agree.
And really just the judicial stuff of saying it all comes down to the executive. He gets to make these decisions. He gets to control the purse strings. He gets to decide what's legal. That's he gets to say that he's the king if he wants to.
Well, and that's the thing with that day that they blockaded funding for federal programs right across the country, which some organizations are still struggling to make sure that the people who work for them are paid, that the people receive services. But behind that is the concept of impoundment, meaning, to your point, that the president answers to nobody. And I don't know if that will also include, apparently, our own personal bank accounts. So, that Doge would be top line for me at this point as well, which I did not. Let's take a quick break here. There's so many things. There's Ukraine. President Zelensky has said that the United States has now withdrawn themselves as a lead on negotiations.
Absolutely. We've just decided to surrender. Is what it is.
Yeah.
We've just decided to surrender. There's nothing else to it.
Boy. Let's take a quick break. What's on your mind? 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. We're hanging out with author, historian, and tour guide Adam Selzer. You can go to adamchicago.com for all his great work. And, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Source Solar. Go to source.solar for more information about the great work they do and see if you are ready to get some solar panels on your house. Over 100,000 happy customers. And thank you to Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. Subscribe to their newsletter. I am featured in today's newsletter. Wrote a little piece about how maybe not being able to use language about women's body parts means that we have no interest in protecting them. More in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
Stephanie Miller.
It's another true Stephanie Miller Show story, Chris LeBoy. Yeah, from with Jane in St. Charles, Illinois. It's real. Stephanie Miller fans are everywhere. We're meeting in parking lots. It happened just yesterday. I got to my car after leaving the grocery store. There was a woman loading her groceries in the car. She had a radio on to WCPT 820 Progressive Radio. I couldn't resist. I said, I think we would qualify to say that we listen to the Stephanie Miller Show. We both laughed and said, yes, we would. I love it.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
Hi, this is Dr. Jason Bassell. As it is I who voice these ads, it is I who get all the fame and glory. I can't even walk down the street without people recognizing me as that guy from Chicago Community Acupuncture and asking for my autograph.
Literally, that never happened.
Anyway, I want to tell you about my wonderful associates. These are experienced professionals who share my commitment to providing excellent and affordable care. We have Diane, a career Air Force veteran who earned her doctorate in Chinese medicine. Both Jay and He-Jay earned their medical degrees in China and the U.S. And we have James, who recently returned home to Chicago after practicing in Portland for years. I am so proud to have these excellent providers keeping Chicago Community Acupuncture open 7 days a week. How can people schedule, girls?
Well, they can go to chicomaco.com or they can call 773-853-0920. 773-853-0920. Milwaukee, Devon, and Nagel with great parking, great providers, and great prices. Schedule your appointment today.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning We always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
Or
and Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. My sidecar. That's what we used to call it. I like that name, sidecar. Also,
Riding sidecar,
also my favorite cocktail. One of them is Adam Selzer, author, historian, and tour guide. Go to Mysterious Chicago on Facebook or go to adamchicago.com to find links to all the books he's done, all the tours he gives.
Tomorrow night is a virtual boat tour.
Oh,
It
nice.
is entirely too cold to do an architectural boat tour in Chicago right now, so we're going to do it virtually.
That's brilliant. Well, straight out of the gate for our daily wellness check, Jim in Chicago. Hey, Jim.
Hey,
You're
Jim.
on with me and Adam. What's on your mind?
Hi, Adam. Hi, Patty. I'm dying for Stump's first directing Elon Musk in the remake of Fiddler on the Roof and watching, I don't know if you're familiar with that play.
Sure.
Or things, If I Was a Rich Man. I'd like to see Musk sing that song. You know, yeah. This first, because he's taking over the Kennedy Center. He's going to give us great entertainment.
Oh, my God.
But, you know,
I just don't see Elon as Tevye, sorry.
But remember this: Republican radio started with the deep state. This is a couple of years ago, and the Ukraine started
Is
this
where
war.
Tevye lived.
Yeah, Ukraine started this war, and Ukraine is at fault for this war. And even the Undertaker from Indiana had to go online today and say, "They didn't start the war. The Russians started the war." But this nonsense about the deep state and how he got people to believe it. That is the most amazing thing, that the Republican radio and the internet and so on and so forth, to get people to believe that there's an actual deep state. Like there's people, you imagine a deep state. There would be.
We should start one.
Yeah, but we should all get together in the morning before we have our coffee and go, all right, now how can we jam up the works with the deep state here? I mean, come on.
This meeting of the deep state will now come to order.
Yeah, please.
Chairman Buttigieg, the floor is yours.
Exactly. But, jerk, yeah. But anyway, just to brainwash people, but Patty, remember this. We can only be cowed so long, and we can only be fooled so long. It wasn't Lincoln said you could fool some of the people, but you can't fool everybody all the time. So they can't control. They can't
Abraham
control
Lincoln said
everything.
that.
But it's only been a month. It's only been a month. It seems like 5,000 years. You know,
It's
when you turn on
exhausting.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't look at any communication without being absolutely. Why aren't these people asking any pertinent questions about anything? What is the what is the plan of the MAGA? What's their plan? And look at the MAGA in our state. They're now blaming the Democrats for spending money on the migrants, and they're going up because they want to put everything in dollars.
Attack and it works.
Yeah, but you know what the sick part about that is? They want to put everything into dollars and cents.
Yes.
We're spending money on the poor. Forget the poor.
It costs
What
more to
about
put
you?
them in jail.
Well, they also.
Yeah.
Did you see that that they're also cutting access legal aid to children, separated children?
Yeah.
Who are here as well.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the cruelty. Just the cruelty. I don't care what you listen to or what you do, but you've got to know cruelty. And if I've lived long enough to know, I know cruelty when I see it. I mean, I don't need anybody on this earth to tell me that was a cruel thing to do or that was cruel. You can sense that through body language or anything.
Yeah, like you said.
But, I mean,
The cruelty is the point.
Go ahead, guys.
I got to run.
You.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Because the lines are filled up, and I want to make sure.
All right.
Because Margot's calling from Maryland, and I want to make sure we check in with Margot. Margot, you're on with me and Adam Selzer. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hi. You guys do such amazing work. I just wanted to quickly. I'm going to try to make this extremely brief.
Okay.
So I don't annoy people. I think that maybe, advocating and raising money for political purposes is a good idea to help fight this administration. But I feel like in the meantime, as services are being cut to there's so much need on the ground right now, and maybe people can just organize and raise money for, homeless shelters, men's shelters, organizations that actually provide services for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and I'll donate some money too, so that people can get the help they need immediately, as opposed to we can still protest and do all that and try to get the government to change too, but that's going to take a lot longer. And also, I'm not sure if you said this, but didn't you once say on one of your shows, and I love your show, I'm not going to criticize you, but didn't you say that at some point that you knew some parents of children with disabilities that tried to start businesses with them and they didn't work out? And
yeah, there's been several, and some of them find other paths. There have been anything from there was a beverage company that my friend Tony started with his son. My friend Holly Simon, whose son has Down syndrome, they started like a storefront that did bath salts and bath bombs, and I don't know if that's still open, but they also moved over. They're 21 Pineapples. So Nate Simon, you can find them on TikTok and other accounts. He has a company called 21 Pineapples, and they do like tropical shirts. They do all kinds of gear, and they support a lot of. They have special needs employees as well as families who benefit from that. So, great question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I was just saying that maybe we as customers and consumers can do more to help businesses run by people with disabilities, such as buying their products and supporting their services, so they can, buying their services so they can stay in business. And then I have one other. Two other questions. I know that it's bitter cold there. I'm a little bit worried about homelessness.
Yep, I was thinking about that today.
And also, go ahead.
No, I had the same idea, the same thought today. It's negative temperatures in Chicago right now, so that's an excellent question. And yesterday, unfortunately, there were warming centers that were closed because of, on Monday. So hopefully the city of Chicago can figure out how to work around national holidays in order to keep people safe. But thank you for reminding me. What was the other thing?
Do you know anything about Project Onward? And then I'll take the rest off the air. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, so good to hear from you, Margot's getting all that information out there, and really great points about supporting organizations that do the work that you're worried about, people who might be vulnerable. Whether I know in Chicago we have a lot of folks living outside in tents, folks who might not have been able to get warm. So find the agencies in your area. You can also go to the Chicago Food Depository to help with food pantries. A lot of mutual aid organizations. We'll try to compile a list of things for your reference. But what was the one she said just at the end? Now I should have Googled it before she forward. Oh, no. Is Margot still there?
Margot.
Someone texted me what she said at the end because I went back to something she said earlier. Is it Project Forward? Oh, man.
That doesn't sound right.
Someone text me, 773-763-9278. What was the last thing?
I forgot.
She gave me a list of things. And so it's 21 Pineapples, but also, at the same time I was trying to Google, there are also a lot of companies that employ people with disabilities. So I think that's important to support them. And in Illinois, we are fighting to make sure that those individuals get their fair wage, because a lot of times employers of people with disabilities will just pay them less. So find some of those organizations. And someone texted me what the last thing was that Margot said from Maryland. Let me take another phone call from Bob in Schaumburg. Has been on hold the longest. Hey, Bob, what's on your mind, my friend?
How do you do, young lady? Couple of points. Well, one, I'm going to comment on the gentleman who said you can't fool all the people all the time. I would have to respectfully disagree and say I think the MAGAs could be fooled all the time.
You can fool some of the people all the time.
I was thinking that.
It's the full quote. It's Carl Sandburg quoting Abraham Lincoln in something he probably never actually said that I know from Dylan's Talking World War III Blues. You can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time.
Yeah, but these people you can fool
I'll
every single
let you
day.
be in my dream if I can be in yours. I said that.
I'm sorry, but I believe the hardcores, you can fool them all the time.
Yeah,
some of the people you can fool all the time.
Based on personal relationships, I would agree with that. because I no longer have personal relationships with anymore. I mean, like, there's somebody that I used to work with. That the thing is that, like, their hardcore religiousness that they post online, right? And the way they they really believe that Trump was saved by God, and believe that he is essentially a heavenly, like, basically an angel. Like, they've elevated, and they also believe that Michelle Obama's a man. They believe, like, all these, like, wild things. So they ain't going nowhere on this stuff.
Yeah.
You
never get to say, I told you
much...
so to these people.
Yeah.
Well, not just I told you so. I think their day is coming. They don't understand that our side of the fence has a lot more people there. I think many people are going to get to the point, and it's already happening, where they're looking at this and saying, wait a minute, I didn't vote for that. In 2 years, there's going to be the opportunity. If we change the House of Representatives, I guarantee I would be very surprised if within a week we didn't see articles of impeachment filed. And I don't know what
they have been, but as long as the Democrats don't control the House, nothing's going to come of it.
Right.
Well, I said in 2 years, if we can turn that over.
Yeah. If we can turn that over, yeah.
I think they'd better enjoy themselves calling you names on social media and whatever, because I'm sorry, my dear friends, they are in the minority, and they might not even know it.
That's the thing.
We are the deep state.
Bob, it's so good to hear from you. Be well, my friend. Be safe.
You have a great day. Bye now.
You too. Thank you. And thank you to all of our listeners who are texting and telling me that it was Project Onward, everybody.
Project Onward.
Project Onward. By the way, Cindy in Plainfield, and you were just discussing supporting businesses that are owned by people with disabilities. I would like you to check out Grace's Gnomes. That's Gnomes, Gnomes. Grace is a young lady here in the Plainfield County area that makes gnomes, and she sells them at some of our local stores, and she's a very sweet lady. So thank you so much for that. Tell them, so everybody, if you're looking for home decor, I could get a gnome. I would love a gnome.
Yeah.
I've never had a gnome. I need a gnome. I need one of Grace's gnomes. So I'm going to find that website or information on how to find her. And Project Onward is beyond words, the intersection of text and art. A text-based show examining the lines and space between the words we share, keep, and hide. This is one of the. So this is art. Project Onward is an organization that seeks to promote art as a powerful tool for understanding and value the real and potential contributions of our national population with disability. So thank you for that, Margot, and thank you for everyone for making sure I landed in the right place. Thank you. Because, I'm not sharing Steve and I had another conversation today about passports, and one, because of Griffin's age, who is 21, and two, because Declan, in autocracies, under dictators like this, people with disabilities are disposable.
They're the drain on the state.
Correct. And someone put out a list of people who need, because of this letter they put out from the White House about autism. And
right. It's a threat to our way of life.
Well, and putting, folks on ADHD.
Well, yeah, putting people like me onto farms where I can be reparented. I imagine they'll have a nice big sign that says "Work will set you free" on the outside of it.
Yeah. And by the way, if you take someone off their ADHD medication, how much work do you actually?
I'm off. I forgot to take it today, as a matter of fact. So.
Let's take a break. I don't mean to laugh. It's the gallows humor.
We laugh that we may not cry.
That's the one. That's the part. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we are going to talk to a candidate for the mayor of Skokie. Ann Tans is independent candidate for mayor of Skokie. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal. Oh, she can only stay for. Okay, let's get going so we can talk to her more in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight with a little bit of light snow, a low temperature of 6 degrees. On Thursday, lots of sun with a high of 23 and northwest winds up to 25 miles an hour. Friday, sunny with a high temperature of 25 degrees. Saturday, sunny with a high of 30. Sunday, cloudy with a high of 38. On Monday, we'll see a chance of rain with a high of 44. Tuesday, cloudy and a high of 43. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 15.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Tom, loyal Home Sweet Home Chicago listener, contacted us for a HELOC and financial planner recommendation. After I spoke with Tom, he submitted this 5-star Google review. Reached out to David for a HELOC and financial advisor referral. He put me in touch with KCTCU for a HELOC and fiduciary advisor within 24 hours. David helped me refinance several years ago and provided great service then as well. My wife and I regularly listen to Home Sweet Home Chicago and will recommend his services to friends and family that need a loan in the future. Thank you, David. No, thank you, Tom. If you'd like this type of 5-star service, call Team Hochberg now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit our website 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're in the studio with Adam Selzer. I want to thank our guests on the line for being patient. I know that you're in a hurry because you're running for mayor. And how do I say your last name, my friend?
It's pronounced just like the sport, tennis.
Tennis. Ann Tennis is running to be the mayor of Chicago as an independent candidate. Welcome to the show. How's it going so far?
It's going great, but Patty, I have to say, you switched jurisdictions on me. You just said that I was running for mayor of Chicago. I
mayor
running for mayor of the
come on down.
We're recruiting.
It's just down 94. Come on.
Hey, we could do some kind of a jurisdictional transfer here.
They used to think that Chicago was for sure going to absorb Skokie and Evanston.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Here, at the federal level, it looks like all bets are off. So let me reset. For mayor of Skokie candidate, independent candidate,
yes.
Ann Tennis joins us. And how is it going?
It is going great, Patty, and I'm so delighted to be on your program today. Any chance that I have to connect with voters, I am leaning into, and with a lot of delight and transparency. I have a really strong grassroots campaign that is gaining momentum. After we're done with our call, I'm heading to probably my 12th, 15th coffee in the last 2.5 weeks with Skokie residents. And the message that I'm giving is resonating. So the campaign is growing in momentum, and it's a very exciting time in Skokie.
And I would imagine people are looking for candidates who aren't running in the two-party system. Tell me how folks are reacting to you running as an independent candidate.
Well, what's really exciting, Patty, this is the first time in Skokie that since 2001, that there has been a contested race for mayor. And the reason is, a couple of years ago, some residents got together and put some questions on the ballot that changed the way elections are held in Skokie. So we are all running as nonpartisan candidates now. In the past, there were different parties, like not Democrat and Republican per se, but different community parties that would run as a block, and that really chilled the ability for other candidates to run. Well, that system has been changed, and this is the first election under this new system. So people are very engaged in Skokie and very excited.
Well, I'd imagine the events of the last few days, as a listener just reminded me, that's a pretty significant amount of damage and disruption with the water main break. Tell us a little bit about how you're talking to folks about this crisis for them.
Well, the interesting piece of my candidacy and the experience that I bring to this candidacy is that I served as the Village of Skokie's Director of Marketing and Communications for 25 years. I retired 2 years ago. So as I watched the events of last weekend unfold, I had a really unique perspective on it. With any type of event like this, village staff do the very best they can. They do. You will never hear me criticize my former colleagues. Leadership, yeah. Sometimes leadership, maybe needs some, to be called out. But When there are events like this, communications is always paramount. So people have been asking me about how I would handle communications for something like this. Again, as mayor, I'm not going to be doing communications, but what would I look to? So again, I have a track record of getting information to people in a timely manner. I ran communications for the village during COVID by myself with really very little assistance because we were all spread very thin. But there are always lessons to be learned from a large-scale event like this. My husband and I were pleased to volunteer last weekend at a free water distribution center in Skokie. That was great to engage with residents. The looks on their faces really broke my heart. Last night, I attended the village board meeting, and several residents got up and talked about how traumatic this has been for themselves and their families. So, the community came together remarkably, and Skokie is strong. We are resilient. Under my leadership, we will continue, to look at events like this. You always have to learn the lessons and plan to do better going forward.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it was a hard few days, and obviously everything that you hit on is crucial in a situation like that. What are some of the other issues? Well, first, I know when you're on the doors and talking to constituents, you mentioned going to coffees and other events. What are you hearing most from the people of Skokie?
Well, one of the first things that I'm hearing about, everyone asks about, and it's part of what compelled me to enter this race. Leadership in the village has eroded over the last several years. And one of the prime examples of that is a big, bold thing in the middle of downtown Skokie. It's an abandoned hotel project. There was a hotel that was supposed to be built in a very central property in downtown Skokie. The village entered into a contract that went south. And the bottom line is it's a skeleton of a building. It's open to the elements. And taxpayers have been left holding the bag for millions and millions of dollars.
Wow.
So people are asking about that. And then it also comes down to people are concerned about traffic and roads and safety in their neighborhoods. I've heard about that a lot. People want to make sure that that our community is walkable and that their children can get to school safely. So we're taking notes on that. I had wonderful relationships with my colleagues in the village's engineering division. I know how hard they work, how dedicated they are. And as mayor, I'll work with the village manager, and we will, make sure that we are able to make improvements so that people in our community feel safe.
I also want to mention, we were talking in the last half hour about supporting people with disabilities, whether it's organizations that support services for them or people who work in the arena. So I want to thank you for stopping at Will's Place in Skokie, which is such a great cafe that is managed by a lot of all the employees are individuals who might not otherwise have employment because people are, that's part of DEI, folks, by the way.
Yeah.
Is that someone seems weird or I'm uncomfortable around them. And Will's Place is such a safe and beautiful place for everyone, don't you think, Ann?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned it because I heard, while I was waiting, I heard you talking about the gnomes. And I made a note on my pad here to try to talk about Will's Place somehow. Because Will's Place, in just about, 18 months they've been open, has become part of the heart of Skokie.
Yes.
It's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I encourage folks to find Will's Place in Skokie. Is it on Niles Center Road, or is it I'm trying to remember where
it's on Lincoln Avenue. It's across, a lot of people know the Skokie Theater. It's an iconic building. It's right across from the Skokie Theater in downtown Skokie on Lincoln Avenue.
Gotcha. Here, this is a personal question, I guess, from a listener who lives in Skokie. The referendum that they passed, in my opinion, was for undercover Republican types to be able to enter the race without disclosing who they were. I live on Grosse Pointe Road in Skokie. I would love to have that personal question asked. So I don't know if that's something you have thoughts on.
Say it again, because I'm not sure. The referendum questions were so that people could.
The referendum. I guess I don't know what referendum it was, but the referendum that they passed, in my opinion, was for undercover Republican types to be able to enter the race without disclosing who they were. I guess what their politics were.
What
the
an
party.
interesting take. This is the first time I've heard someone say that about the referendum, because one of the things that these 3 electoral reforms did was it removed you can no longer put your party affiliation on the ballot. But I want to be clear about that. The way it was done before, Patty, it wasn't so-and-so running as a Democrat or a Republican. They ran under different local parties, like, homeowners parties and different groups that crop up. So all I can tell you is that I have an abundance of information about me, why I'm running, the 35 years of experience in local government and nonprofit leadership that I'm bringing to this race. And I would hope and challenge all the other candidates to be as transparent as I am being about putting out information about not only who I am, what I stand for, but my plans and my vision for our wonderful community here.
And for folks who want to learn more about Ann's campaign, you can find the website, Ann for Mayor? ANNformayor.com. That's ANN4mayor.com. And the last question one of the texters sent in was, what do you say to your constituents who are worried about the policies that President Trump is enacting? And even though you're at the local level, we always talk about how local has the most direct impact, and it will impact people at every level of our communities. What do you say to folks who are concerned?
Well, I so appreciate that question. First and foremost, in the village of Skokie, we will keep doing what we do best. We are a diverse community that cares for each other, and we look out for each other. We will not fall into the trap of demonizing and scapegoating our neighbors. We will lean into our community's values, and we have a strong ordinance on the books. And also there are other laws in the state that prohibit local law enforcement from participating in enforcement of immigration raids, except when there's our criminal warrants involved. I'm sure you know all about that. But my priority is to have all residents feel safe. I bring experience and proven leadership to this race, and I'll bring that to the community. I also, because of my more than 35-year career in local government and nonprofit leadership, 25 years of which has been spent right here in Skokie, I have strong relationships with an abundance of intergovernmental agencies, the Northwest Municipal Conference, the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. All these groups, we are all going to need to band together and lean on each other to get through this time. But in Skokie, my priority is for all neighbors to feel safe, welcome, and valued.
I'm so grateful for this conversation. I wish you the very best, Ann. Again, it's Ann for Mayor, and we encourage you to learn more about her campaign, ANNformayor.com. And wish you the very best. Go get them. And early voting starts on March 17th. Is that right?
St. Patrick's Day, which I am taking as very good luck. And then the election is on April 1st. So, Patty, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so grateful.
My pleasure. Go get them. And pace yourself.
Thanks.
Take care of yourself, too. Don't forget that part. I know it's a lot. Take care. Thanks.
Thank you, Kylie. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Adam Selzer, author, historian, and tour guide. You can go to adamchicago.com for all the great work he does. Coming up tomorrow, he's got a virtual boat tour. Yeah. Because it's too cold to go on the boat tours.
Absolutely.
And it's tomorrow's not the theater one.
That'll be next Thursday. We'll be doing weird stories from Chicago theatrical history, the time that John Wilkes Booth performed in Chicago for a while. Edwin Booth was nearly assassinated live on stage in Chicago.
Man.
Which is one of those stories that kind of weirdly fell through the cracks.
Yeah, no kidding.
Lots of weird stories, all to benefit for the Snellville Performing Arts Center down in Georgia.
All right, tomorrow the architectural boat tour, because it's too cold to go on a real boat.
Absolutely. I don't want to go on a boat right now.
So you can go virtually with Adam, Mysterious Chicago on Facebook. We'll continue our conversation and take your phone calls when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Are you familiar with the term weekend warrior? It's used to describe someone who doesn't get much or any physical activity during the week, but then a substantial amount of exercise over the weekend. There have been a lot of studies done on weekend warriors, and a lot of people find themselves identifying with this label because they find their weekdays are just too busy to work out. The latest study I want to tell you about is out of Mexico, where researchers found that weekend warriors had no higher risk of mild dementia as more frequent exercisers. That could be considered good news, of course, but I still don't want you to hear that and give up on always striving for more movement every day of the week. Even if you're not able to carve out time for a formal workout, just keep moving as much as you can. Keep in mind this, your body is like a flywheel. Once in motion, it tends to stay in motion. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx users compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for driving it home with me, and guest co-host Adam Selzer joins me in the studio. Don't forget to go to adamchicago.com. And I want to remind folks that tomorrow on Choose Views, Richard will be taking your calls and talking to Illinois Comptroller Susanna Mendoza. I'm not whenever I call folks on behalf of the Comptroller's office, I say Comptroller because if I say Illinois Controller, you're supposed to say Controller.
Really?
Oh yeah, and that's what she's told me. But then when I say it, they're like, who? And I'm like, and if I say honestly that it's slight difference, and I say Comptroller,
right?
People are like, oh, and
oh yeah, the Comptroller.
The Comptroller.
Yeah.
That's the way it's spelled. But she'll be on.
That's
with
what
Richard.
they call it on The Simpsons, the Comptroller.
The Comptroller, exactly. Yeah. So she'll be on with Richard Chu tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And of course, Richard Chu Choose Views 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820, the Heartland Signal website, to tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Adam and I are taking your calls right now. We've got Dave from Hoffman Estates, who's now the longest listener on hold. So thank you for your patience, Dave. How are you doing? You're on with me and Adam.
Oh, hey, Patty.
Hey.
Adam.
Hey.
Well, on hold, I got to thinking about there was before I get into what I wanted, I originally ask you, this guy, this one from Pennsylvania, had claimed that if they're going to go after the Medicare and Social Security or whatever, that he'd be voting against it. He's a Republican, I believe, representative.
Well, it's too late for that.
Well, we heard that one before, too. Remember that one when Hegseth, the guy kept saying he was voting against him and all of this stuff, and then when the time came, he had to fail between it.
They'll say it and say it, but we all know if Donald Trump told you to poop on the flag, you'd be running to the rotunda pulling your pants down.
I mean...
Yeah, and to me, it's getting to the point, fool me once, shame on you. Second time, fool me twice.
But teach a man to fool me, and I'll be fooled for life. Yeah. And you can fool me all of the time.
But, and then, with him being, they had some things saying he's the king, and now, well, who's going to have the guts already to say that the king ain't got no clothes on?
And even if they did. Someone brought up a good point. I don't know if you heard this yesterday when we were in Madison. That Kirk was talking about how they're breaking it from the inside, which shows you that you can do it. And the Democrats are never willing. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to break things for the good of the country.
Yeah.
To go against whatever the traditions, the standards, Durbin wanting to maintain, the status quo essentially of how we've always done it. And
yeah. I've got
fire
no
with
faith
fire.
in our people.
Busting.
Right now, I've got no faith in our Democratic leaders right now. They're pretty mum and meek, and
yeah.
they're going to have to go a bit to earn the vote again, you know.
Well, and here's the thing. I remember when I lost in 2020, right? And I asked a friend of mine, like, you know, what should I think about running again? They're like, just lead, right? And so I have this platform. That was before I started working here, and started working with like the farmers markets. Actually, I started working with them before I ran, while I was running. But I don't know what keeps them from just leading, right? Like Pete Buttigieg could be on anything he wanted and give a daily press conference. He could just have a daily.
Right. I'm sure he's up to something. We did like a shadow cabinet.
Yes, but up to something. Then have to tell us.
Yeah, I got to see I want to know what he's doing. I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what the lay of the land is right now. But if every time like whoever Trump is installed at the head of some agency made a speech, have Pete go out there and make an alternative speech.
Yeah.
Present a whole different reality, or bring Obama in to do it.
Yeah.
Something.
He can't have any ambition. He's done.
Yeah.
There's nothing else for him to. I mean, come on now.
That's the thing, even like Hartman was talking about. All of these leaders, they ain't been speaking up. You know, Obama, Clinton, you know, all of, and even President Biden.
Hey, even give us a
and Harris.
Give us a fireside chat every Sunday. Something.
Yeah.
Give me a TikTok fireside chat.
Right.
What I was up with you guys earlier was did you see that story where there's measles outbreak starting in western Texas and that?
Mm-hmm.
Starting? They're at over. How many cases are they up to? It was like 48 2 days ago. So it's in Gaines, Texas. Go ahead. They have the lowest.
Yeah, when I read it, it was 58, and they said it's spreading to neighboring New Mexico. That they got about 8 or 10 there.
It's probably time I got my measles shot updated. I don't remember the last time I had one.
Well, I don't know. Do you have to get those updated? Oh God.
But we got a new Health and Human Service guy that is anti-vaxxer, you know, and you know there's that MMR shot that, you know, and that there ain't no link at all between that and autism.
No.
But despite cranks like, you know, that actor Jenny McCarthy and these others.
That crank.
And that because like in the story they pointed out too, and before 1963, when the vaccine was introduced, the U.S. we had saw some 3 to 4 million cases per year, and now it's usually maybe 200 or fewer. You know, and then the ones that do get it, it says like about 95% of that area is, you know, kind of it gets that herd immunity in a sense.
I go down cemetery interment books all the time. You can't go down a whole page without getting to measles.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And this community has some of the lowest vaccination rates for the entire state of
that stands
Texas.
to reason.
Just saying.
Yeah. A couple of red states there, you know, they ain't going to take no needle. You know, I mean,
jab. Yeah, jeez.
They're just chicken to get shots. Grow up, guys.
And they're welcoming these guys back in the military that disobeyed a lawful order. You know, there's 2 chickens with a needle. But, because you could get pneumonia and blind and brain swelling and maybe even die from measles. So,
yep.
You know. Anywho, but anyway, thanks. I better get off so somebody else wants to talk.
Well, no, you took me all. You took me all the way to the top of the half hour. Thanks, Dave. I'll talk to you soon. That's okay. That's all right. That's okay. I do want to talk about it. Thank you so much, Dave. But the measles. Lubbock saw its first measles case for the first time in over 21 years.
Jeez.
And for folks who are like, you know, all this screaming about vaccinations and. That whether it was the Bill Gates chip or it was Democrats, you know, lying and the farmer, it was all these different elements. I mean, it was always something different. It was like watching a snake eat itself.
Yeah. But
the thing is, to your point, all of the things that afflicted people that we've been able to, whether it's polio, measles, all these.
You go down the list and like cholera infantum, which was probably malaria, typhoid fever. You never hear about people in the States getting typhoid fever anymore. It's not all because of vaccination. There's also antibiotics, and sanitation is a big one. But they're going after those too.
Yes.
I mean, you see any given family plot in a large cemetery, it'll be just infant after 4-year-old after 3-year-old in any large family. And
the thing.
Infant mortality is in such better shape now because we have these vaccinations, we have sanitation, we have you don't worry about getting typhoid fever out of your drinking water most places. But they're trying to bring all of that back.
And as far as infant mortality rates, it's much worse in states that don't have access to abortion. Let's take a quick break here. continue this conversation when we come back on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Hang out in studio with author, writer, historian. Well, those are the two the same thing. Author, historian, and tour guide Adam Selzer. His tour tomorrow is an architectural boat tour. Go to Mysterious Chicago on Facebook.
Join me and WCPT Radio at the Southland Friends of Labor 16th Annual Jobs Breakfast, Monday, February 24th. We will be in Joliet at IBEW Local 176. This special union event is free to all active and retired union members and all WCPT listeners. Come and enjoy a great breakfast and WCPT's special broadcast with me. Guests being interviewed include Andy Rico, business manager, IBEW Local 176, Bob Howard, president of the Chicago and Western Lakesport Council, and Stephen Powell, president of Local 881 UFCW. Doors open at 7:30. If you want to attend, please call or text 708-996-1291 and leave a voicemail to save a seat. Free to all WCPT listeners and active and retired union members. See you on the 24th.
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Relations between Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump have spiraled downward. Trump warning the Ukrainian president he'd better move fast to negotiate an end to the war with Russia or risk not having a nation to lead. Zelensky suggesting Trump's parroting Kremlin rhetoric. Lawrence Brooks on what claim tipped off Zelensky.
Trump said the Ukrainian leader's approval rating stood at 4%. Zelensky said in a news conference in Kyiv, "We have seen this disinformation. We understand that it's coming from Russia." He said that Trump lives in that same disinformation space. Trump also suggested Ukraine ought to hold elections, which had been postponed due to the war. Public opinion polls and approval ratings haven't been reliable in Ukraine because of the fighting. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
President Trump seems to be derailing Senate Republicans' budget plan. They'd voted to begin work on a $340 billion measure focused on funding the White House's mass deportations and border security agenda. Trump preferring the House GOP's more sweeping plan that includes $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. Julie Walker reports the judge in New York Mayor Eric Adams' corruption case has declined to rule immediately on the Trump administration's request to drop it.
Judge Dale Ho getting pushback from people saying not to sign off and indicating that this is only the first step in his decision. The Justice Department says the case is a distraction from the Democratic mayor helping President Trump with his immigration crackdown. 7 federal prosecutors and 4 deputy mayors resigned over the fallout from that request, and Governor Kathy Hochul has been holding meetings over whether to remove Adams, who says he did nothing wrong. Julie Walker, New York.
And Andrew Lester has died just days after the 86-year-old Missouri man pleaded guilty in the 2023 shooting of Ralph Yarl, a black honor student who rang the white man's doorbell by mistake. This is AP News. President Trump's repeating misleading claims that millions of people 110 or older are getting Social Security checks, despite the new acting head of the agency saying that's not the case. Sagar Magani has a closer look.
The claims come from the president and Elon Musk.
Millions and millions of people over 100 years old. Everybody knows that's not so.
We've got people in there that are 150 years old.
And there's one person that's 360 years old.
While it's true some dead people have received improper payments, Social Security's new acting chief says those in the records the White House is citing are not necessarily receiving benefits. Rather, they're people in the system with a Social Security number but no date of death associated with the record. Starting nearly 10 years ago, the agency automatically stops payments to people older than 115. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
And I'm Ben Thomas, AP News. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight with a little bit of light snow, a low temperature of 6 degrees. On Thursday, lots of sun with a high of 23 and northwest winds up to 25 miles an hour. Friday, sunny with a high temperature of 25 degrees. Saturday, sunny with a high of 30. Sunday, cloudy with a high of 38. On Monday, we'll see a chance of rain with a high of 44. Tuesday, cloudy and a high of 43. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 14.
For many servicemen and women, the battle doesn't end when they come home. And I know, because I too struggle with the invisible wounds of service. Pups for Patriots and Sam literally changed my life. If you're a veteran or know a veteran struggling with post-traumatic stress or a traumatic brain injury, go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more about the Pups for Patriots Service Dog Program. Let's give our veterans a fighting chance.
A message from American Humane.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Hello to our friends listening in the evening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Of course, we're broadcasting here in Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And you can listen to our show wherever you listen to, like maybe on the TuneIn app. You can also watch the live feed on Facebook or YouTube. And we also want to thank our sponsors of the show. You can go to source.solar to learn more about Source Solar, your source for solar in Illinois. Over 100,000 happy customers. So find out if it's time for you to put solar panels on your house. We also want to thank Minocqua Brewing Company. It was a great show last night at the Tap Room in Madison. And hopefully our guest co-host, Adam Selzer, author, historian, and tour guide, can join us in Madison in the near future.
I hope so, yeah. Next time there's a Tuesday when I'm in town and it's not a very good friend doing a speech.
Yes.
Because Tuesday is also Chicago for Chicago, and the local nonprofit does their lecture series on Tuesdays in the wintertime.
Excellent.
It's a great hang.
Do they move around, or is it in one location?
This year it has been at Bad Apple on Lincoln and Belden. Previously, it was in a room 13, a little speakeasy.
Ooh.
But they've outgrown that. They got a very big crowd now. My speech this year was about Frank Lloyd Wright's various scandals. Last night, Layla Royale talked about the first ward ball that we used to have every year and really need to bring back.
All right. I like it. So that's where can folks find out about those events?
Just look up Chicago for Chicagoans with the number 4.
Fantastic. And Adam has a tour tomorrow, a virtual tour, so you don't have to leave the comfort of your home to take a boat tour.
Have a drink. You don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to worry about the weather.
They're great.
Just sit back, relax, and don't worry that I'm going to say anything that'll make the listeners at this station uncomfortable when we pass the big building at 401 North Wabash with the guy's name on it, known around town. It's 93 felony counts high.
Fabulous. I remember when there was a big battle in City Hall about whether or not he should be able to put his name so gaudily on the building. And there's a video somewhere on YouTube of me just yelling at the building from across the river long before he ran for, not long, but it was like maybe a year.
Yeah, we've been ripping on it for a long time. But right after he was first inaugurated, there was a great protest on the river. Chicago moons the Trump Tower.
Oh, God.
Where several hundred people got on the riverbank and did exactly that.
Yeah.
It was really productive.
Yeah. It's,
we got a lot done that day. But
I haven't joined a lot of the protests, and I don't know when I'm going to start getting more. One, the weather doesn't help. Yeah. I know that I should protest. I'm protesting. I mean, we are all doing our part.
We're all,
including being grateful for this wonderful crochet dumpster fire. It's my emotional dumpster fire. If you watch the Facebook feed or YouTube feed for the Driving It Home show with Patti Vasquez with me, this was by one of our listeners, Bridget. Thank you again for this lovely dumpster fire. I have to check in on Facebook and say hi to everybody there. Always lovely to have a wonderful community there. Adam reached out today and wanted to join us in studio. There's a lot going. I really keep asking folks, like, what is it that you can focus on rather than reacting to every single story? But I think because Doge it is every single story at this point, don't you think, Adam? I mean, it's every single thing about.
Right. It all kind of relates back to that.
Yeah. So I have to figure out how to edit this video, but I had a troll on my Facebook page who was like, well, they found out, as you just heard on the AP News, that there are all these Social Security numbers that are for people that are over 100, like up to 150 years old. So I did some research because all the mainstream media is saying basically like, why are those numbers still in the system or whatever. There's two things. One, they might still be in the system. It doesn't mean that they're receiving checks. Those are two different things. They're maintaining, I guess, those records. But the second thing that I found out, that it's still running on COBOL. Right, so Social Security is still running on COBOL computer programming, and a bell went off for me. And I ran downstairs to my mom's apartment, and I said, "Hey, what kind of work did you do for the federal government?" And she was a COBOL computer programmer. This was the problem with Y2K because we ran on COBOL, and COBOL only recognizes zeros and ones, and they had not run into having to do two zeros.
It's definitely an old school code at this point.
Well, she's 90.
Yeah.
They forced her into retirement at 72. Because they said they were going to be moving on from the program. And
right, but moving on from a program is very, very costly and a massive, massive operation.
Well, since it's all zeros and ones, and I have to do more research on this, but I imagine that your data set then can go all the way back to when they started. So let's say they went all the way back to when Social Security started. And then when they started Social Security, they wanted to make sure that they were giving it to people who were of the correct age. So you might have numbers going back to the 1870s.
Yeah.
So it's data. It's just data that
it doesn't mean those people are actually still getting checks.
Exactly.
It means they're So I think these greasy Beavis bros are just running into legacy code they don't understand. And as soon as they see something they don't notice, they decide it's a scandal. Like, it's something I deal with even as I just had a comment the other day. I had an article years ago about the Northwest Sanitary Fair of 1865, for which they built a temporary building. And this guy wrote, so they just built a temporary building and then tore it down. The more you get into history, the more obvious it is that it's all fabricated. It's like, so you're telling me that they didn't really have a fair in 1865 that was widely advertised, widely reported on, and widely reminisced about, and every single person in Chicago would have had to be in on it. The more you talk to people like this, you realize they're very stupid people who are finding a way to make themselves feel smart.
Well, that's the exhausting part, right? And the thing is, what's wild is that they'll call us stupid, right? There were
right,
and a
because
lot worse names.
You're sheep. Yeah,
sheep. Yes,
sheep. As soon as somebody tells me I'm a sheep, I know there's no point in further talking to this person.
Yeah, and anytime someone's like excited about the work that Elon Musk is doing, that we're angry because they're finding fraud from Democrats, but like, why would I be afraid? I'm not.
Yeah, find all the fraud you want.
Please.
You bring in an auditor for that, not some greasy Beavis bro.
Where are your forensic accountants?
You bring in the inspector generals. You don't fire the inspector generals. But Patty, I just got some devastating news over the wire. The gas station Come and Go is going to be changing its name. Come and Go spelled K-U-M. It's a Midwestern staple.
Yes.
The loss of the name Come and Go is devastating to seventh graders everywhere. And honestly, if you don't laugh about that name, I feel that your heart must be dead.
Wow.
Already.
What are they changing their name to?
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, they're just going to be.
It's just been announced. Yeah, I guess it was announced a few months ago. I just now found out about it. But this is going to be heartbreaking for middle schoolers.
Yes, if you drive by it just makes you giggle. And
it's
basically, I'm very honest about having the brain of a 12-year-old boy sometimes.
We've all got our inner seventh grader. And I often talk about this in cemeteries. Eventually, all these reminders of mortality, your inner seventh grader takes over, and these names like Fanny and Johnson suddenly are hilarious.
Right. Yeah, so, it's all good stuff. I really, these are very challenging times.
Butt jokes work, jokes about butts. And there's a great Deep State joke on the new Beavis and Butthead movie that came out a couple of years ago.
Oh,
I don't know if I can even repeat it on the air.
If we don't think we can,
we'll probably just do it for on the commercials. But check out Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. It's a very funny movie. Lately, I've just kind of had Beavis and Butthead running on a loop. They're incredibly stupid characters, but through them, Mike Judge has had some biting social commentary over the years.
I do believe Ryan Gosling's appearance on Saturday Night Live helped to respur that too, because people remember. Did you see that episode where they're sitting in the stand? It was very funny.
Right.
And I think they made one of the actors on Saturday Night Live laugh. Did you watch the 50th anniversary?
I saw most of it. Yeah.
I saw some of it. Here we go. From How to Geek, from one of our listeners sent us. There are 220 billion lines of COBOL code still in use today. COBOL is the foundation of 43% of all banking systems. Systems powered by COBOL handles $3 trillion of daily commerce and handles 95% of all ATM card swipes and makes 80% of all in-person credit card transactions possible. And I don't know that these kids in Doge are familiar with COBOL programming, which is...
No, they're clearly not.
No, and so the COBOL, not the COBOL, the one of the 24-year-olds, I believe, I can't remember if it's the University of Nebraska or University of North Dakota, because those two could be really interchangeable. But that's where he got his degree.
You can see one from the other, I'm sure. But...
Correct.
I mean, have you been to Nebraska?
Yes,
yeah, we've all been to Nebraska, and it's so flat there. You feel like if you stand on a chair, you can see Canada.
The joke is that when your dog runs away, you can see him running for 3 days.
Or if you stand on a chair.
Yeah, exactly. But one of these kids, they basically created AI coding to decipher some ancient Greek text. Like, that's his claim to fame. And then, of course, who came in and pulled him under his wing, Adam, was Peter Thiel. Yeah, so that's where one of those guys comes from.
We're seeing all these things, like these guys posting how they became radicalized and it's some massive anti-Semite work.
Right. Well, and that's my thing is that, I guess there's a couple things that I have to hope. I guess I can only hope for, right? We can do what we can do, but at some point, public opinion has to change. And we've been using your comment about they haven't had their hand on the stove to feel it. One is for that message to get through. I really want every single agency that has to either cut their services, has to not give people as many resources as they had before, whether it's increasing their bills for certain things, they have to say in every letter they send out to their customers and clients, this is because of the President of the United States decisions. This is why. But I don't think there are going to be enough people brave. I mean, that's not like criticizing him. It's informing people of why this is happening. Because without that element to it, people are like, no, that's not what's happening. It's not the news. It's actually the agency that has been helping you.
Right.
Whether it's Veterans Affairs or it's senior care, Meals on Wheels, they need to put out letters that say, because of decisions made by the White House, we have to cut your services. I just don't know if anybody's...
The White House has ordered us to cut your services.
Yes. But I don't know if they're, because if it comes from me, if it comes from some other news outlet, they're not going to believe it. And they're vulnerable. But, you can't...
They'll come up with increasingly... these conspiracy mongers are going to keep on coming up with increasingly wild conspiracies to justify their view of reality. You're never going to be able to tell these guys I told you so. Just saw that on Blue Sky.
Between that and I was right, two of my least favorite things to do these days. I hate saying either one of those. Let's take a quick break here. We're hanging out with Adam Selzer. He is he's an author, a tour guide, and historian. Great fount of knowledge. All things Chicago, and I'll say all things Bob Dylan too. As a matter of fact, are you working on a book about Bob Dylan?
Working on any number of articles. I haven't figured out what shape it'll be, but I spent about a week in the archives going through all of his notebooks and finding just some incredible stuff that really changes our understanding of some of the origins of some of the songs.
Excellent.
And some of what he was doing in 1982 and all the stuff that's very interesting to us who get really geeky about this kind of thing.
My husband really wants me to stop watching documentaries and reaction videos to Bob Dylan music and reviews of Complete Unknown. By the way, that reminds me, my fellow my brothers and sisters in SAG-AFTRA, our votes are due on Friday. So if you are planning to vote for the SAG-AFTRA awards this year, please make sure you get those in by Friday. I think usually it's at noon or something. At any rate, just get it done. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives, from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We got out of Washington State, and I think a week after, state went on lockdown for COVID.
So then when we transitioned to Texas, it was very much so like, what are we going to do now?
Operation Homefront has allowed our family to make something of ourselves again in the world after the military.
It's completely changed the way our life is. It took us from a hopeless situation, and now we're homeowners. We have a savings account. I'm the first one to own a home out of my siblings.
Visit OperationHomefront.org to learn more.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you for joining us as we continue to drive home here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal in Chicago, broadcasting in the evenings to KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota, joined by guest co-host Adam Selzer. He's an author, historian, and tour guide. You can go to Mysterious Chicago. Tomorrow's tour is a virtual architectural boat tour.
It is a boat tour.
And so you don't have to get cold to go on a boat. Chicago, and he does a great boat tour, you guys. And do you duck even though you're not on the boat? For that one bridge?
No, this was all filmed on a lower bridge.
Okay.
On a lower boat.
Okay.
On a lower boat
That's
than
really
the
funny.
one that I sometimes work on that goes much higher up.
Right. And so
you have to have people duck under 3 or 4 of the bridges.
Yeah. So no danger of Adam falling out of his chair.
One of them being the Kinsey Street Bridge, which means like one day I will forget to duck there and I will become a part of the ghost tour as the headless tour guide of the Dave Matthews Poop Bridge. This is my fate, and I could do worse.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Let me get to Roosevelt before I get to a text that just came up. Hey, Roosevelt, you're on with me and Adam. What's on your mind, my friend?
Patti and Adam, thank you for taking my call, people.
Hey. Of course.
Okay. I got a couple of questions for you guys.
Oh, boy. I didn't know. I was not told there would be a quiz.
Is it open notes?
Yeah, really? Yeah, my phone.
Yeah. You guys can cheat. I don't care. You can cheat. Okay, so J.D. Vance goes and insults basically and distances himself or us from Europe. And I believe, if not now, in the near future, we're going to be hated all around the world if we're not already.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, so wasn't that one of his promises that we're going to be respected around the world instead of the world laughing at us? Remember he said when Biden was in there, the world's laughing at us. I don't know what they were laughing at, but are we having fun yet? Are we laughing yet?
No. They are. I mean, if you see some of the way these folks are talking on social media, they're loving this. This is exactly what I wanted. Yes, I voted for this, all that stuff. Yeah, they absolutely wanted this.
Some knucklehead this morning in Spanish praised J.D. Vance and read a lot of his speech. He was, oh my God, he was just the greatest thing since sliced bread, and man, I came down on him like a ton of bricks because of the fact that he said J.D. Vance brought up the Cold War and all this, basically what Trump has been saying all along as far as Europe, that they got to pay their due.
Right.
But here's the thing. When is Eli going to pay his due? But here's the question. But I'm throwing a lot of stuff at the top of my head here.
Yeah, you heard how I lost track of Margot's list in the first hour, but let's see how I do. Go ahead.
Okay. Here we go. I tend to, like a grasshopper, jump all over the place. I believe that, what do you guys think is the plan? I believe that there's a setup being done. This is what I said this morning on the Spanish station. I said the deal has been done. There is no deal. All this is window dressing. All this is sleight of hand. And that's why they got Rubio, because he's able to articulate the I almost said the whole word. The BS. The BS. I almost said it, guys. It was at the tip of my tongue. But anyway, I think this is window dressing. I think this is a show for the world, meaning who's on my side, who's not on my side.
Yeah.
And intimidation and all this. And I believe that Trump is following the orders of Putin. Remember what Putin wanted? He wanted to be in the G7. He he doesn't want Ukraine to join. Oh my God! Now I forgot the name of it. To join in Spanish is OTAN. Oh man, where all the nations are together. What the heck is that called? NATO.
Oh, I'm sorry. I it's like it could be NATO. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's NATO. So, and look, they're hitting the president of Ukraine from all sides. And I'll tell you why. Because Trump wants a deal where he takes 50% of the minerals and mines and minerals and all that stuff. And Putin wants to take, of course, he wants to take land. And isn't that the same thing, only on different sides? Meaning one coming from America and the other one coming from Russia. Meaning that Putin is interested also in those minerals. So I believe that that's a present that Trump has got wrapped up and ready for Putin. And the guy that's wrapping up the present is Marco Rubio. What do you guys think?
Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I think it's all nuts.
Yeah,
thank you so much for sharing it. I think that they are taking advantage of every situation in order to line their pockets. I've said that over and over again, and I also think that Trump does see himself as a king, as a dictator. He wants to be like Putin. There's so many things there, Roosevelt. But thank you for sharing your thoughts, because there's a story I want to get to before we get our guests on. Thank you, Roosevelt.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for giving me the time.
Of course. And because Myrna sent me a message that, hold on, let me see. So Kristi Noem has, she has warned employees, and not just warned, but she is threatening to have because apparently there have been leaks. She wants to sniff out leakers who have been accused of foiling immigration raids this month. And the directive comes after some high-profile raids fell embarrassingly flat, namely one in Colorado that sought to arrest hundreds of Venezuelan gang members. But despite deploying 400 agents, there was just one single alleged gang member. And so she says that she's planning to have a polygraph test administered to the agents.
Really?
But the concept of so there's a scoop. So someone leaked that she was going to administer polygraph tests to find the leak. So someone leaked that was going to happen. So it's going very well.
I'm pretty sure these agents know how to beat a polygraph test too, you know.
No
These
doubt.
guys are pros.
That's wild. But Myrna texted in that it's very wild. They're starting with the lie detectors. Will they eventually use cattle prods or tasers to get employees to confess? So that's an interesting question. America just lost the Cold War. Thank you, dear leader. Yeah,
I think we lost it in 2016. We didn't lose the election. We lost the Cold War.
Yeah. I want to remind folks about some of those organizations that we talked about, in particular, Will's Place for folks who want to support individuals with disabilities who are going to be bearing a lot of the pain when it comes to service cuts, to support services. So please support groups that are doing the work of making sure they feel safe and supported. Will's Place in Skokie. There's Grace Gnomes. You can go to Grace's Gnomes, gracesgnomes.com and shop for a gnome that she makes. So let's take a break here, continue our conversation. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk to someone who's helping folks get some financial independence. We're going to talk to Walter Mendenhall, founder of the Male Mogul Initiative, and he recently acquired helpwithmyloan.com. More in a moment with WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, joined by Adam Selzer, my guest co-host, and of course we're grateful for our friends listening on KTNF AM 950.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Cloudy tonight with a little bit of light snow, a low temperature of 6 degrees. On Thursday, lots of sun with a high of 23 and northwest winds up to 25 miles an hour. Friday, sunny with a high temperature of 25 degrees. Saturday, sunny with a high of 30. Sunday, cloudy with a high of 38. On Monday, we'll see a chance of rain with a high of 44. Tuesday, cloudy and a high of 43. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 12.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the midst of World War II, the 200 and 515th Coast Artillery Companies from New Mexico stood resolute against overwhelming odds. Composed largely of Hispanic soldiers, these brave men were stationed in the Philippines, where they faced the brutal onslaught of Japanese forces. Despite their lack of supplies, American and Filipino forces managed to fight the Japanese for 3 months. However, this was not a victory for the American and Filipino forces. As the American Army surrendered in Bataan, the U.S. and Filipino prisoners of war were forced into the infamous Bataan Death March. A grueling 65-mile forced trek under the scorching sun, marked by extreme deprivation and harsh treatment. Sadly, 829 men were never able to return home. New Mexico's veterans of the Bataan Death March are honored each spring with the annual White Sands Bataan Death March Marathon. People from all around the world join together in the desert at the White Sands to participate in the anniversary of one of the most tragic casualties of World War II. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
After serving in the military, life can seem like an endless loop. But the cycle can be broken. You're not alone. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
Thank you so much as we continue to drive it home here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, broadcasting out of Chicago, and of course joined by our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And I encourage you to download the TuneIn app or watch us on the live stream on YouTube or Facebook, especially because our signal gets a little bit weaker as the sun goes down. But when the days get longer, you'll be able to hear us pretty well. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to and welcome to our show our next guest. You know, I was just telling somebody on the way here, one of the things that stresses people out the most, I think, is talking about finances or how to make money, how to save money, how to invest. And so Adam and I are thrilled to welcome to the show Walter Mendenhall, founder of Male Mogul Initiative and recently acquired helpwithmyloan.com. Hey, Walter, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
We're very good. I'm not kidding when I say that money stresses me out. And I feel like a lot of folks know that I talked to a friend of mine, and I think a lot of us we struggle to articulate that we would like to be more financially successful, but we're not quite sure if the path's there. And I love that you work with young people. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in this work.
Yeah, so actually, man, I have so many lives. So originally started off as an NFL football player. So I played in the NFL for 2 years, and once football was done with me, I wasn't done with football, but football was done with me, became a teacher, loved what I was doing, but wasn't having the impact that I wanted. That turned into a college professor, which turned into a nonprofit director, which turned into essentially the Male Mogul Initiative, where we seek to positively transform the way young men live and lead in their communities through leadership, entrepreneurship, and workforce development.
That's fantastic. And you know, did you have any sort of support growing up? Like, did you have someone in your life that told you, you need to take charge of what your future is going to look like?
You know, I did not in my early childhood. So, but my last 2 years of high school, I lived with my youth league football coach, who was a business owner and an immigrant from Hungary, and really, had to pull himself up by his bootstraps. But during those times that we lived with him, we was on the dinner table, he would discuss to us about business and financial literacy, and I didn't know what he was doing at the time, but a lot of those lessons that he talked about, I use now.
And when you decided to start this organization, Male Mogul Initiative, tell us what the inspiration was. What drives you to do this work?
Yeah, so in 2016, I remember going into a career day on the west side of Chicago and meeting a great young man, an honor roll student, basketball player, very well respected in his school, but he sold drugs to get the things that he wanted. And I thought to myself, how many young men in this city have the gifts, skills, and talents to be successful legal entrepreneurs, but don't have the exposure or the opportunity? So the Male Mogul started with 5 kids at a local church in 2017 and has blossomed to serving over 3,000 young people and producing over 200 plus jobs. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes. We were Chicago Innovation Award winner, Wintrust Bank Neighborhood Award winner, and MIT Sol semifinalist in 2023.
Well, congratulations. I mean, it takes that vision, but also that commitment of time. I mean, this is really amazing. But it sounds as though you're driven by the young people that you impact. And thank you for the work that you do. How do folks learn about, how do you sort of make sure that kids know that, or young people know that your work is available to them?
Yeah, so, like all the other things, we have the social media, we have the websites, we have these, but we do a lot of grassroots learning. So we go into Chicago public schools, during the day, and we teach leadership and entrepreneurship development. So that's kind of where we get our pipelines. Recently, we've been doing a lot more marketing and advertising and coming on platforms like this to get our message out.
What are some of the things that you guide young people through? Because it is, I would say, perhaps we're going into some challenging times. And I think we all kind of struggle with, where do I fit into this world? Is that kind of part of the conversation that you have with young people?
Oh, yes. Before we get started with anything, I think we take an inside-out approach. So first, I feel like they have to understand, particularly when you talk to young men, who they are, why they matter, what's their purpose, understanding their gifts, skills, and talents, and ultimately learning how to become a person of value. What skill sets that align with your gifts, skills, and talents that you can acquire to make yourself valuable in the marketplace. And essentially, we take a social entrepreneurship approach and ask them, what problem do they want to solve, and how do they monetize that problem?
And I know that you also are working with young people with making sure that they know that there's a path in the trades. Because when we think of mogul, right, I think people think of having, like, being an entrepreneur and having a big, which is one avenue. But you also want to work with people in the community in order to teach young people some skills in the trades. And we often talk to union members. I mean, that is such a solid foundation for building a future too, isn't it?
I think it is probably in this day and age the most solid, because we all have homes, we all have things that break, and we all need somebody that fixes them.
You can just try using AI to fix a broken toilet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be faster than just doing it the wrong way.
Right.
Yes, 100%. So we do. We actually have a warehouse. So we actually have Chicago's first small business incubator for youth and young adults. Wow. And it's a workforce development site, particularly for trades, manufacturing, particularly in carpentry.
That's brilliant. I love that aspect to it. And I know that this is something that runs on people donating their time and resources. What can we do to support the work that you're doing?
Yes. So I think, the first thing is just making people aware of what we do. So, coming to our website, signing up for our newsletter, giving us a like and a follow, Male Mogul Initiative on Facebook, on Instagram.
Oh, there you go.
We have events coming up, so we actually have a learning how to use a screen press and a heat press.
Yes.
To make T-shirts and other apparel. So we have that coming up on the 22nd. Sign up. All these things you can sign up for via our social media, our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and we can always donate too on those sites.
I just followed you on Instagram, empowering young men of Chicago through leadership and entrepreneurship. I really am so grateful for. What an amazing accomplishment. What is your vision going forward? How I don't think you're going to just with one incubator, one warehouse. What's the big vision plan? Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, so the big vision is essentially to create a community wealth building ecosystem, essentially a circular economy where dollars circulate throughout the community multiple times. So this is, I'm doing this dissertation, and it's on creating sustainable and entrepreneurial ecosystems. And essentially, I just want to create communities of wealth, communities of sustainability. And a lot of that comes from how we think about money, the skills that we have, and how we invest not only in our families, but in our communities.
Outstanding. Mm-hmm. And again, I just followed the great work that they do on Male Mogul Initiative. You can also go to malemogulinitiative.org. Thank you again. Is there anything you want to make sure you told our audience that maybe we haven't covered? And you, because sometimes people hang up and they'll message me later and be like, oh, I forgot to mention this one thing. What do you want to make sure we know about?
No problem.
Take it away.
We recently acquired a AI-based brokerage that has done over $850 million in loan origination, particularly for commercial, residential, and business funding. And essentially what we're doing there, we're teaching young people how to become commercial and business loan officers. So helping them to understand capital, helping them to learn how to underwrite. Our technology actually underwrites information 80% faster than a human, and we have a 95% lender match rate. So, and that's double the industry standard. So we recently acquired this company out of California in partnership with a high school friend of mine and a WNBA basketball player named Jewel Lloyd. So if you're looking to lend, to refinance your home, to get a line of credit, go to helpwithmyloan.com.
Excellent.
All right.
And again, thank you for all the great work that you're doing. And please don't hesitate to reach out if there's an event coming up or you need to make sure our audience is aware of something going on. And our microphone's open to you, my friend, and all the great work that you do and the
awesome. Thank
people
you.
in your organization. Of course. You have a great evening.
All right. You too.
Thank you. Let's take a quick break here, and we'll continue our conversation when we come back. Oops, I didn't mean to drop his call like that. That was abrupt. I'm sorry, Walter. I hit the wrong button. Thank you, Walter. Let's take a quick break here and continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
Count me among the Americans that want to see change. Now, of course, the change I was looking for would have put Kamala Harris in the White House. Americans voted for change. They just, Trump, I think they got the wrong kind. Still, I'm grateful for elections, even when we lose. They tell us about ourselves, and we can't ignore that and shouldn't.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. Your work keeps our water clean, improves the soil, and enhances wildlife habitat. It also provides countless benefits, not just for you and your family, but for millions of Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. Thank you for being stewards of America's prairie for all of us. Take a moment to find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome, and he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky, but that's exactly what makes him so perfect. Tuna is a 3-year-old Chihuahua Dachshund mix with more than 700,000 followers on Instagram, and it all started because he was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Tuna, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home here on KTNF. Well, not here on KTNF, but we're also on KTNF in Minneapolis, St. Paul, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. They listen to us in the evenings, and we're actually expanding to another market, which I'm excited about. We'll tell you more about that in the weeks to come. And, of course, we're broadcasting on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal out of Chicago. And you can go to the TuneIn app, the Facebook live stream, YouTube. And Myrna messaged me a little while ago about this story about Kristi Noem wanting to subject employees to a lie detector. How you doing, my friend? Myrna? Oh, I have all the buttons. Unmute me, Myrna. Myrna? Ding, ding, ding. Hello, Myrna. All right, I'll try to come back to you in a minute and see if we can get you. I got all the right buttons. I know that you're there. But sometimes people, like when they're on hold, they kind of do other things. They get distracted. But so before we cover more topics, I do want to, because I have to vote on Friday for the SAG-AFTRA Awards, and there's apparently Adrian Brody is the favored one to win right now for the Academy Award, at least. And I do think Timothée Chalamet is absolutely delightful in.
I haven't seen The Brutalist.
I haven't seen The Brutalist either.
I know there's been some controversy about them using AI to get the accent right.
Oh, really?
Which I don't think necessarily is a knock against the movie, but it is a knock against the acting.
That would be, I would think.
And it's very difficult to get the Hungarian accent correct. And I did see people say, well, why don't they just get a real Hungarian? You need somebody who can get the movie made. And frankly, there aren't that, at the time that this character was born, Jews made up about 5% of Hungary. It's a lot less now.
Yeah, a couple, 2, 3 less. Well, on the other hand, are there enough people? I mean, are the Hungarians going to be mad if it's not spot on as an accent?
Yeah, I get it. I get why they would do it. It probably was budgeting was a good reason, but it is a knock against the acting if he wasn't able to get the accent right himself.
I would think so too. I also one of the reviews I was watching about A Complete Unknown was that Pete Seeger wasn't as consumed, that he was more upset that the instruments were drowning out him singing.
That's what he told me. I interviewed him on a radio show about 25 years ago. That was always his story. He was mad that you couldn't hear the words.
Okay.
And there's a lot of contention about, like, were they booing because it was such a short set? Were they booing because they couldn't hear the words? Were they booing because he played electric? Now, there's not a tape of the audience. So it's very hard to know.
So it's word of mouth.
It's all what was reported later. We don't. There's a recording of the show.
Right.
But it's not. You can't hear the audience on it. It's all on stage. But there is an audience tape of the next show he did, where he came out first and played an acoustic set, then came out with the band. That was in Forest Hills, and that time you could hear them booing, and they're definitely booing because he's playing electric. It's out of control. But by then, everybody had heard if Dylan plays electric, you're supposed to boo. And it was just a few weeks later, but you can barely hear the music for all of the booing on that tape. But it's one of my favorite tapes. It's a rough listen in terms of audio quality,
right? But
it's a fascinating tape.
Yeah,
even through the acoustic set, this is a whole crowd of people. Like you're talking about reaction videos. This is a whole stadium full of people hearing Desolation Row for the first time and thinking it's hilarious. Because, if you haven't heard that apocalyptic album take, he plays it like a comedy song, and it works. This is a funny song. But you never realize it until you hear the tape with people, like, cracking up about lines about Cinderella seems so easy.
Oh, dear.
It's a joke song.
I'll have to take a listen.
You can do it any number of ways. It contains multitudes.
And by the way, thank you for the Dropbox audio that you sent.
Oh, yeah. It's introducing you to the world of Dylan bootlegs.
Yep. What? I didn't hear anything. Let's get to Myrna. Are you there, Myrna? Oh no. Okay, I tried Myrna again. We'll see. Hello, Myrna? No. Okay. Well, I'm gonna put her back on hold. And Myrna, we weren't able to hear you, but this is like my day. This happened to me all day with Steve. We kept like calling each other and we couldn't hear each other. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I try not to go straight to the horror and scare of what's happening, like it's fine. It's absolutely fine. I'm going to. I will tell you this. This weather is having a negative impact on my happiness ratio.
Yeah.
I think I don't do well in extreme long periods of cold and gray. But anyway, where's Al in Franklin Park? Hey, Al, you're on with me and Adam Selzer. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing fine. I've been keeping busy and so on and so forth. I'm still out here trying to do some things, and I'm still with my broken record that it's all about the media, and we gotta get our message out there above everybody else's.
I agree.
And find ways to do that, because it's crazy. If you get into their bubble right now, you still think that Trump is doing a good job, and that what Elon Musk is doing is a good job. And then, I've mentioned to you about Christian National Television and how they still like him. And then you go to their newspapers, you go to Salem Radio, you go to the Federalist Society, and they all are working together, all pushing their message down, and somehow we just got to figure out how to brainstorm between all of us and get our message out as well. And that's mainly what I was going to say, and I'm still thinking about it, but I've been busy. I'm going to be gone for a while, and I just figured I'd call and say hi.
I love that. Thank you, Al. It's good to hear from you, my friend. All right, well, take care of yourself and pace yourself. And I agree, it is getting the story out there, whether it's people on social media. I'll tell you quickly to your point about not just the big stories about how it's affecting people's lives, but there was a woman who had an ectopic pregnancy and she was being denied care, and she just started filming. And a social media influencer or whatever, creator said, "Yeah, more of this. We need to see it happen in real time." And I agree with that. And I wonder if that's going to be part of it. This is part of the resistance, is that as it's happening, you can't deny that something's happening to people. If we're seeing it happen, I think it does. You know how movies change the world and books. I think that the instant of seeing the cruelty, the inhumanity, and I know it's happened. We've seen it, whether it was in Gaza or if it's happening in Africa. We in South Africa. Unfortunately, we're so inundated with so many things. But maybe I don't know. Maybe if it is your neighbor in Alabama who can't get abortion care and might die, or maybe if it is your aunt or uncle who
suddenly get their Medicaid cut off, suddenly gets their medication cut off because RFK doesn't like it.
Film it all, folks. Start turning those cameras
People
on.
start getting sent off to work to organic farms.
Yeah, that's
or if Senator Tuberville comes and starts beating people with his belt, definitely get a video.
Yeah.
You can put it on OnlyFans.
We can all be journalists.
Yes, Coach, I've been a bad boy, Coach.
And this is all so much bigger than Trump right now, and that's what people have to realize. This is an international problem, and it involves Putin. And, as you heard, like on Tom today and on with Malcolm Nance today, and that stuff is all real. It's all been out there, and they've been manipulating our minds for a long time, and we just have to find a way to. So I blame all these people higher up in the industry. It's been brainwashing us all the way from the people at the local radio stations to the people at the Federal Society to the people at the trash newspapers, and the list just goes on and on and on, and they just got it all down, and that's all they do is understand how to manipulate our minds, and those are the people that we got to somehow understand and use our smarts to work around.
I agree. Thank you for reminding us, Al. You have a good night.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too. We'll talk to you a little later.
Absolutely. Thank you. And to his point, by the way, I did, now that I look back at what happened at the former radio station, aside from all what I was called the one that was creating all this drama, but being the loudest voice, the squeakiest wheel about Donald Trump, and Steve Cochran was too. But now I look back and I think of how they put a co-host on with me who they had never even tried on with me, but she was not even just moderate. Like, she has definitely farther right leanings, and I wonder if that was another way to sort of try to put me in my place, and then led to my goodbying. Hey, Mirna, thanks for calling back. What's on your mind, my friend?
Can you hear me?
Yes. God, I got nervous there. I was scared too.
Well, there were two things, but I'll call back with the other one tomorrow. Not long ago, I was watching the rerun of the History Channel. It was like maybe 6 or 7 episodes of it regarding H.H. Holmes.
Oh, American Ripper.
Stop. And I wasn't really looking at the TV screen. I was listening, and I heard a voice sounded so familiar. I couldn't figure out why it sounded familiar. And I finally looked up, and I saw the young man that was speaking, and I'm like, he sounds familiar, but I don't know who he is. And I kept looking. The reason I couldn't recognize him was because he was wearing black frame glasses instead of white.
Oh, that's so funny.
It was Adam.
Yeah, that was back in the day before I had discovered these glasses that have become such a trademark. That was an interesting show.
Yeah, but you know what, my question, I kept sitting here waiting, hoping to hear something and nothing. I was like, no, I need to go to the washroom. Figures that when I went to the washroom, they said whether he was related or not. So was that his grandson or not?
It is his grandson, but no, H.H. Holmes was definitely dead in 1896 and was definitely not Jack the Ripper. But we do know that Jeff, as far as I know, actually was related to him, yeah.
Okay, that was my main concern, is finding out, because I couldn't find it on YouTube or anything.
Yeah.
Like, next time that he's on the show with Patty, I'm going to have to call in to ask him about it. Okay. So that's
Thanks for calling, yeah.
That is awesome.
Right.
Thank you, Mirna. I'm glad we got you on. I'm so glad we got you on, Mirna. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I was... well, we need to wrap up. We can't start another conversation, Adam. Adam, I'm so glad you messaged me and came in today.
Oh, sure.
And I look forward to your tour tomorrow. It's the Architectural Boat Tour.
Boat tour, yeah.
Virtually. So go to Mysterious Chicago. What else do you want to let people know about before we let you go?
And also be sure to tune in. Well, this week, get some practice tuning in. The virtual tours this week is coming up next week. We're going to be doing a really cool one about strange stories from Chicago theatrical history as a benefit to a group called the Snellville Performing Arts Center down in Snellville, Georgia, which is a safe space for kids who really need one in an area like that.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you for doing that. And check out all the work that Adam does. Go to adamchicago.com. Is there a link there to your Facebook page? So in case they want to streamline that?
Oh, yeah, there'll be links to everything. You can stream it on Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube.
Excellent. You can also sign up to be reminded through the notifications by email, too.
Oh, sure, yeah. Or sign up for the Patreon. We've got all kinds of great stories coming up on my Chicago History Patreon.
Outstanding. And coming up, I want to let you guys know that coming up on Friday, Senator Dan Katowski is going to join me in studio. So we're excited to have a conversation with him because I got some thoughts. Of what we can do at the state level, and I want to pick his brain about that. Okay. But I should probably do a little bit of it before the show so that I'm not swearing on the air. And we'll also have tomorrow, we're going to talk to Mary Gibson, who's running for Naperville City Council. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Our friends listening on KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Of course, our sponsors, Minocqua Brewing Company. Go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and order some of their great gear or beers or wine. And, of course, our friends from Source Solar, your source for solar in Illinois. Go to source.solar and learn more about the great work they do. Thank you, Lady B, for everything. Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil. Bye, everybody. Love you.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step